What will happen when a man who loves his cat more than anything wakes up to find her missing? After a frantic search, he finally finds her, only to discover something incredible about his beloved companion that changes everything. In a quaint little town called Millbrook, a middle-aged man named Elliot lived a simple life. He worked as an accountant, enjoying the comfort of his daily routine. But his true joy came from his fluffy striped cat, Oscar. Oscar wasn't just a pet, he was Elliot's best friend. Every day after a long day at work, Oscar greeted Elliot at the door, ready to share their cozy evenings together. Their mornings were peaceful. Elliot would wake up, feed Oscar, and make breakfast while the cat purred at his feet. Oscar loved to watch the birds from the windowsill, filling their home with a sense of calm. Elliot cherished these small moments, finding happiness in their quiet companionship. After a long day, coming home to Oscar made everything better. Each evening, they would settle down together, with Oscar curling up by Elliot's feet, creating a warm and loving atmosphere. Their bond was special, showing that true friendship can be found in the simplest of lives. But one ordinary morning, everything changed. Elliot woke up to a strange noise at the front door. To his surprise, Oscar was scratching at it and meowing loudly. This was unusual for his normally calm cat. Curious about what had caught Oscar's attention, Elliot opened the door, and without thinking, Oscar dashed outside. At first, Elliot didn't worry too much. He thought Oscar would come back by the time he returned home from work, just like he had done before. As the day went on, thoughts of Oscar filled Elliot's mind. He hoped his furry friend would be waiting for him when he got home. But when Elliot arrived that evening, he found the house empty. Oscar was nowhere to be found, and a feeling of worry started to creep into Elliot's heart. That night, sleep wouldn't come easy. He kept peeking out the window, hoping to see Oscar's familiar shape on the windowsill. Each passing hour made Elliot's heart feel heavier, and he couldn't shake the fear that something was wrong with his beloved cat. Days passed, but Elliot refused to give up hope of finding Oscar. To help in the search, he made posters with Oscar's picture and put them up all around town. Elliot spent hours walking the streets, calling out for his furry friend, but Oscar was nowhere to be found. Fear filled Elliot's mind. What if Oscar had gotten into trouble? He worried that maybe a stray dog had chased him away, or that he had been hit by a car. On the fourth day, just when Elliot thought he would never see Oscar again, he returned home from work to a sight that made his heart soar with joy. There, sitting on the porch, was Oscar. He looked a little tired, but he was safe and sound. Elliot rushed over, filled with happiness. As he got closer, he noticed something attached to Oscar's collar, a note. Confused but curious, Elliot unfolded the note and read, "Your cat has incredible abilities. He's amazing. Please call me Anna." Elliot was puzzled. He read the note over and over, trying to understand what special abilities Oscar could have. To him, Oscar was just a cat, albeit a very lovable one. Curious and a bit excited, Elliot decided to call the number on the note. A woman named Anna answered the phone and explained that she was a seismologist. What she shared next would change Elliot's life forever. 3 days before, Anna had been working in her lab when a gray striped cat came running in, causing a stir. At first, she tried to chase him away, but Oscar kept coming back, meowing loudly. Then, Anna noticed something strange. Oscar wasn't just meowing, he was scratching the floor in a steady rhythm. Intrigued, she began to record the sound. To her surprise, her instruments picked up a small earthquake. The rhythm of Oscar's scratching matched the seismic activity perfectly. Elliot couldn't believe it. His cat had a special gift. Elliot listened to Anna's story in disbelief. Could it really be true? His little Oscar, the cat who loved to lounge in the sun, could somehow predict earthquakes? Anna insisted on meeting Elliot to run tests with Oscar, and even though he was hesitant, Elliot agreed. The next day, Elliot brought Oscar to Anna's lab, where a team of scientists eagerly awaited them. They were excited to see Oscar and conducted several experiments. They placed him in different rooms filled with seismographs and various instruments. To everyone's surprise, every time there was even the smallest tremor, Oscar would show signs of anxiety. He would meow loudly, scratch at the floor, and sometimes even try to hide. The scientists couldn't believe their eyes. They had never seen a cat with such amazing skills. Anna explained to Elliot that Oscar's special gift could be valuable for science, possibly saving many lives if an earthquake happened. Elliot felt proud of his extraordinary cat, but also scared. What if the scientists wanted to keep Oscar for their experiments? He didn't want to lose his beloved pet. Anna reassured him that they didn't plan to take Oscar away. Instead, they suggested a partnership. Elliot could bring Oscar to the lab a few times a week for tests, and he would be with Oscar the whole time. Elliot agreed, but only if Oscar would not face any tests that could harm him. The scientists quickly accepted his terms, marking the beginning of a new adventure for both Elliot and Oscar. From that day on, they visited the lab 3 times a week. At the lab, scientists watched closely and recorded how Oscar reacted to different situations. As news spread about the cat who could predict earthquakes, scientists from all over the world traveled to Millbrook to see Oscar in action. With this new fame, Elliot began to feel overwhelmed. Journalists called him for interviews, and some people even offered to buy Oscar for large sums of money. But to Elliot, Oscar was not just a science project, he was family. No amount of money could change that. One evening, after returning from the lab, Elliot noticed that Oscar was acting strangely. The cat was racing around the apartment, meowing loudly and scratching at the walls. Elliot felt a tight knot of worry in his stomach. He knew this behavior meant something important. He quickly called Anna to tell her about Oscar's strange actions. Without wasting time, Anna reached out to the city authorities. A state of emergency was declared, and residents were told to leave their buildings and find safety outdoors. Just an hour later, a strong earthquake hit the town. Thanks to Oscar's warning, everyone stayed safe, and the town celebrated him as a hero. After that incident, Elliot's life changed completely. He became a local celebrity, often recognized on the streets by people eager to take pictures with Oscar. While Elliot felt proud of his amazing cat, he also started to feel anxious. The scientists wanted to run more tests, discussing things like studying Oscar's DNA and even looking at his brain. Elliot worried that Oscar would end up just being a test subject. To keep Oscar safe, Elliot decided they would only visit the lab once a week. Although Anna was disappointed, Elliot stood firm. Oscar was his beloved pet, and nothing would change that. As life slowly returned to normal, Elliot kept working as an accountant, but also discovered a new interest in seismology. He wanted to understand Oscar's special abilities better. Oscar continued to predict earthquakes, saving lives not just in Millbrook, but also in nearby towns. With each prediction, Elliot felt a deep pride for his extraordinary cat, who was not only his pet, but also a true hero. A year passed since Oscar first predicted an earthquake. One evening, while Elliot was at home watching the news, he heard scientists talking about their new advancements in earthquake prediction technology. They had created a device that could predict tremors hours before they happened. Elliot smiled as he glanced at Oscar, who was napping peacefully in his favorite spot on the windowsill. He knew in his heart that it was Oscar who had inspired these scientists to invent this life-saving device. As if he sensed Elliot's thoughts, Oscar opened his eyes and meowed softly. Elliot walked over and gently petted his beloved cat, thinking about how this small, fluffy creature had changed the world. Thanks to Oscar, people were learning to understand nature better and prepare for its dangers. But for Elliot, Oscar would always be more than just a special cat. He was a loving friend who loved sunbathing, playing with crumpled paper balls, and purring happily when petted. Elliot felt excited about the adventures that lay ahead. No matter what challenges they faced, he promised to always protect Oscar and care for him. Sometimes, true heroes come into our lives disguised as ordinary pets. That's all for today. Now, it's your turn to share your thoughts about this story. What's the next story you'd like to know? Let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any of these amazing videos on The Wild Wonder.